The Monty and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah.
TV with a special Saturday edition with WWE and ECW superstar Mr. Al Snow.
And
very
magician to the
engaging
blind.
conversation, my friend. Thank you so much.
ECW.
Question 3 and 4.
Question 3. As a promoter, if what you say is true, everybody all knows they're in on the rib. They know it's a work. They don't pay to believe in it anymore. They just want to see you do your cool stuff. I get it. Then why am I buying championship belts for you to work up your way up a competitive ladder to become the champion of something if nobody believes in that and nobody's buying a ticket to see it?
Speaking of that, the importance of a championship belt.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
Please.
we got different sections in wrestling where it got really big, then it kind of shrinks up and big. Sure. And we're in a COVID era now. We know what's going on. But
Yeah.
when they felt they had to turn over these belts, even though it was doing well for ratings and everything else, it killed the huge Intercontinental
Killed the
champion
worth
fans.
of the belt.
Right? Loved it to death.
Yeah.
That belt is useless.
It kills me.
Yeah, it's it again though, that's the, if you don't place it like it's a competitive ladder, being, to where, because used to that Intercontinental Championship was like it was the next step just below the World Heavyweight title. Now it's just they're a prop and we'll throw it on so and so. And
Your opinion on 50-50 booking, because I believe that's what ruins the belts.
I believe it ruins matches.
Yes.
Ruins
characters.
Yeah, it ruins characters.
Credibility.
You need to, people need to at certain times look certain ways, and do certain business. If I'm going to book you as the next heavyweight champion, I need you 6 months ahead of time wrestling like you are the heavyweight champion, so that when I finally shoot the angle to where you're going to wrestle the heavyweight champion, no one in the audience goes, "What?" They all go, "Yes, here's our chance.
Finally.
We're going to see somebody that might be able to take the belt off,
Yes.
even if the babyface is the champion." Well, oh my God, now the babyface is in trouble because this guy clearly could be the next heavyweight champion. He's a threat. There's that. That's called heat. Heat's not what the wrestlers think today, that it's a step in a match that they've been taught, that stupid 7-step formula, or
7-step formula. Oh my
or it's
God.
the heel's offense. That's not heat. Heat's a want. It's a need. It's a desire. And the art of professional wrestling is telling a story within the context of a competitive situation and creating heat in that story by teasing the audience with something they want and then taking it away.
Right.
Making them want it, making them think they're going to get it, and at the last second taking it away.
NWA theory, WWE theory, or WWF, we just say WWE. Vince McMahon's theory, babyface champion,
Yeah.
churning the
And
bad
that just
guys.
depended on the
but
territory.
which do you feel, which was the NWA theory, bad guy champion,
Back in the
faces
day.
chasing the bad guy,
Well, the
which was
difference,
better?
there was a big difference between the two, not in babyface and heel, but in the fact that back in the day, you had a traveling champion for the NWA.
Right.
Okay, in WWF, you had a promotional champion that stayed within the promotion, and you saw them on a very frequent basis. So it worked better for a longer run to have your babyface, your champion, be the babyface in a promotional situation to fight off different challenges, the heels and the various heels that would come in, as opposed to you had a traveling champion that really in some territories came in and was the babyface, and in some territories was, of course, the heel. It just varied, but that was, you had to have the traveling champion that really knew how to really adjust and adapt to each different environment, because each city, each night, each audience is going to be different. And in a promotional situation, a lot of times it's better to, put that belt on. In WWF it worked, and was, they had babyface champions had longer runs.
We hated
in AWA,
Backlund.
Vern put the belt on Nick Bockwinkel for years, and,
About 5.
and was able to, maintain it as a draw as well.
Right.
So,
No, he didn't. He didn't have as big a map to cover as NWA, AWA, right?
No, because NWA was not a promotion. NWA was an association of promoters.
Right. Right.
And
Understood.
so, if you were the world heavyweight champion for the NWA, I mean, you were,
went
Flair was
everywhere.
out there traveling 250 days a year.
Right.
Because all those promoters wanted him because the world title actually meant
Sure.
something, was a draw, and it would bump up the houses
And
when
you'd
the
see them
champion would come in.
WCCW. You
So
see them
you're
in Florida
saying-
Championship Wrestling. You
So
see
you're
them everywhere,
saying
Georgia.
the NWA champion was like an Andre the Giant or Bruiser Brody, like that traveling?
Interesting.
Yeah, gotcha.
Oh yeah,
Interesting.
and if you were a promoter in the NWA, you wanted access to that champion. AWA was a promotional champion. WWF champion was a promotion champion. NWA was an actual, traveling world champion. So my last question for the performers out there who actually believe that wrestling has changed and that it's not about winning and losing and they don't care, and I just asked the question of why do I have a referee in the ring anymore? Because you're gonna ignore him anyways, and you're gonna do stuff right in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna make him useless.
Mm-hmm.
He has no real authority, and if he has no real authority, you can't generate any real heat. But my biggest question to guys out nowadays, guys and girls, is if what you tell me is true, then why do you get the boo-boo face when I ask you to lose?
Ah. You get boo-boo face, huh?
Oh, they get the big pouty lip.
boo-boo
and-
face.
Because you know what? There's credibility in winning, and
No, there's not.
Not
You can't have it
right.
both ways now.
He's got him.
you're right.
He's got 'em.
You're
You can't
100%
tell me
right.
that, hey, it's not that the fans don't care and they're only here to see the cool moves, and I can ignore the referee, and then I can just get up after you've given me 32 big moves and act like it never happened, because the only reason I'm going to give you 32 big moves is so that it looks like I have a chance of winning and you're in trouble and you might lose. But if you just stand up, well, that all goes away. But now you're going to wrestle like that, but now when I ask you to lose, you're going to get upset and be like hurt, and you're going to, you're trying to bury me. No, I'm not.
Just out of curiosity, how high is the percentage of boo-hoos coming from this up-and-coming crew?
Oh, there are plenty of.
So what are you saying, 85% of them go boo-hoo when they told they're going
yeah,
to lose
they all
about
get-
this
they all
is
get
terrible.
the
What a
boo-boo
bunch of
thing.
whiners. Get out there and do your
when
job.
you're booking, like you even lost
Hey.
the effect of the count out or the DQ. Whenever I see a match
yeah.
go to a DQ, the fans like ridiculous. This,
Well, they could- because-
this is the way you're supposed to be dragging everybody back, right?
You're correct. That's to create heat. Yeah, and I again, it's not my circus, not my monkeys, so I don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I saw, was watching it briefly because I really honestly don't get much of a chance to watch anymore. But was watching a show, and they had the main event was going to be it was a Falls Count Anywhere match with AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
They had shot the angle, they had done the whole thing, right? Three matches prior to the Falls Count Anywhere match, which is basically, that the action can spill out of the ring and, it can happen,
Sure.
anything goes.
Yep.
I basically see all three matches prior to this fight on the floor repeatedly for extended periods of time. I'm not making this up.
Yeah, sure.
Okay? Fight on the floor every match, not just one. Every match.
That's brilliant.
Okay, and then
Oy.
after the AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, I see a match with Roman Reigns and I think Samoa, and they did bigger and more impactful stuff in an attack on the floor
Right.
than they did during the match that was supposed to do stuff on the floor.
Oh, boy.
And every match today, okay, for just my criticism is that every match today it takes a formulatic approach, and they follow a 7-step formula. They either follow the 7-step formula, or they do the light switch wrestling. Oh, I'm good. Okay, I'm bad. Okay, I'm good. Okay, I'm bad. And they all go to the floor. So now, if I've seen 10 matches and every match has had false finishes, which aren't false, because the only way that a false finish can be a false finish, is if somebody kicked out of your actual established finish.
Right.
That's when it's false, because we thought for sure
You were done.
Yeah, not
Right.
well. He just hit a big move and covered him.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's not a false finish. That's you hit a big move and covered him, and he kicked out, and people reacted. But that they didn't really believe, because a false finish would be, oh, Jake Roberts hit 100 people with the DDT, beat 100 people clean with the DDT. He DDT'd this guy, and the guy kicked out at 2 3/4.
Right.
That's where people go, oh my God, I can't believe it.
Right.
That's where it's false, because they thought it was an actual finish.
Right.
So if every match has that, every match has fights on the floor, everybody ignores the referee.
So how do you explain that a
stipulations.
veteran like Shawn Michaels, I know you're not really watching the product.
Yeah,
but
I'm not, no.
Recently, Randy Orton, I guess the old kick to the face that he uses
punt.
is one of the punt.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels no-sold the punt.
According
And
to
this is a
some.
veteran.
I
know,
wasn't. We both
we
did
kinda,
feel
yeah,
that
right.
that was an overreaction from the marks out there. That
Yeah.
because normally they're knocked cold, unconscious.
Right.
Sean, dazed, struggled, pulled himself up on the ropes, and fans were mad that he wasn't, carted out on a stretcher.
Well, there's a portion of the vocal minority that were upset. There were
Thank you.
the general audience probably loved it, and it was a bit of drama.
Right.
And you can do those things. I mean, as long as you don't whore it out, as long as it's done at the right time for the right reason with the right guy, it helps to build that heat. You have those magical moments. You know what I mean? But when it happens, okay, same example, like when the thing that truly got Mick Foley over was when he took that bump off the cage, but that wasn't the thing that got him over. It was when they were legit taking him out on the stretcher, and he got off the stretcher and climbed back up the cage.
Huge.
That's what got him
Wow.
over.
Yes.
But now, how many times have we seen Hell in a Cell matches? And every Hell in a Cell match, it's somebody takes a bump off the top of the cage.
Right.
And they end up making it a point to not even have a reason to climb up there, and they climb up there anyways, and they take a bump off the cage. Well, now it's meaningless. It's
'cause
just a big stunt.
You're going back to story writing, right? It's the writers.
Yeah.
Here's
It's
here's
not
one
the
thing.
writers, it's the performers.
So you say the writers are writing and the performers are doing what they want to do?
Listen, once the wrestler walks through the curtain, there is nothing. I cannot emphasize this enough. There's nothing anyone can do to help them, and there's nothing anyone can do to hinder them. Period. It is 100% in their hands. This idea, this idiocy of blaming the writers or blaming Vince is ridiculous. You walk in the ring as a performer, it is your world, it is your canvas, and you can paint that picture any way you want. And the amazing, magical thing about professional wrestling is if you sell who you are effectively, okay? That's the number one thing, okay? If you sell who you are, then they'll believe in anything you do. I can prove it. I've made an amazing living being able to knock another human being out with a plastic head. Now, let me tell you something. Now, this may come as a shock. Okay, I'm going to tell you a secret.
Okay.
I can't really knock anybody out with it.
With a plastic
Okay, I can't even knock out a toddler. I've tried.
Really?
All they do is they fall down and start crying, and their parents start talking about calling the cops and stuff. You know what I mean?
You mean that thing doesn't hurt?
It does. I mean,
Okay.
don't get me wrong. It'll
Oh,
hurt.
God, don't.
But it does not knock you out.
Right.
Okay. Tommy Rich got color for it one night. It did not split him open. Okay.
This is terrible.
I can hit somebody with it, and people will believe it.
Right.
You know.
Right.
To this day,
Right.
they will believe it. You know, because they believed at that time. They believed in who I was. And if you ask 9 out of 10 people, which, hey, even my psychiatrist would agree, they thought I was insane. So, you know, part of that was because the commitment to what I sold. I didn't go on social media and stooge it off. You know, social media wasn't as big back then, but, you know, you as a person, so that's like blaming social media and saying it's the problem.
Right.
No, it's not. It's you using it. The way you use it's the problem. That's the issue.
Have you ever been handed a plot line beforehand, and you thought to yourself, "How am I going to make this work?"
Plenty of times. I mean, come on. If you think back to some of the absurd stuff that they
Pepper.
had me do,
I mean, what'd you do when you first heard about Pepper? And
I was like, well, I was just like, we need trained animals. And that clearly didn't happen. But you know, they came to me with the whole idea of the European title, and you know, you're going to go out representing a different country every week. And, you know, I remember them pitching the idea to me and took me in Louisville, Kentucky, and had me record what does everybody want, what does everybody need in all these different languages to play.
Cool.
As
That
I
is
went
cool.
out.
That's very cool.
And at the time, you know, the first time I went out, I felt so. I was like, man, this is so stupid. But to this day, I can't tell you the number of people that go out of their way to come back up to me and go, oh, that time you were the European champion was so entertaining. It was so much fun, because they were able to, you know, let's face it, I was crazy, so they could get away with making me do crazy things that a lot of other characters on the show could not get away with doing. You know, Mick was in the same situation.
Yeah.
He was crazy, so he could be, you know, when he was Dude Love, and he was, you know, he was different characters, and nobody blinked an eye. And they still bought into and believed in who he was, so they believed in what he was doing. You know, he cannot, granted, go where he keeps that sock, which is down in the front of the crotch of his pants. I never would want it stuck in my mouth.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if it did, I would certainly give up quick, so, or pass out. But you know, think when you were just wrestling fans, what made you buy a ticket? It wasn't what those guys did. It was who they were.
Well, we were invested in the character.
And
Yes, we were.
And let's face it, every major star in professional wrestling, or literally any form of entertainment, are people that you can turn to your friends and family and can describe in a sentence or less. Mm-hmm. Well, name one wrestler today that you can do that with.
Well, I'll disagree one point. I think the women
Think about that.
still have that character build, in my opinion, right?
To a degree they do, but then they, you know, a lot of, and this again is not an admonishment of them. I've always been very vocal about it when I've trained girls. I've trained tons of them. I've always said, don't forget to be a girl. Okay? You know, that's not a sexist thing.
Sure.
Okay? Girls do fight different than guys. I mean, they fight more emotionally. They will cut a promo on you as they're beating you up, you know, and where guys will just be punching you, you know what I mean? Girls still have to retain that thing, that femininity quality, as opposed to just being a really adept guy with boobs out there. You know what I mean?
What was your thoughts when